All right, they don't call it the dog days of summer for no reason, right? Veterinarians are encouraging pet owners to watch out for health concerns like heat stroke, and overheating can happen in a matter of minutes to our furry friends. So it's important to know the warning signs. That's why we have Dr. Kelly Gephardt with Happy Tails Veterinary Emergency Clinic here with us today, answering your pet safety questions, your pet health questions. All you have to do is text those questions. You see the number that's there at the bottom of the screen, 336-379-5775. And of course, you ask the question, it's anonymous. She answers the question right then and there. All right, let's talk first, because it is the dog days of summer. So let's talk about how do we know if there is some kind of heat issue with our pet?
Right, so 2 more weeks of the official dog days of summer, but it'll still be hot through August. And you want to make sure if your pet is reluctant to walk, if you're out on a walk and they keep going to the grass, going to shade, panting excessively, if they stop and lay down, those are signs that they are overheating and you need to stop, get them water, get them into the shade, and stop the walk. I think this is such an important topic to talk about again. We've already talked about it once this summer, but I'm seeing so many pet owners that are still taking their pets out and noon, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've recently seen a black lab, elderly, overweight black dog in the middle of the hot day at 2 o'clock out on a walk, and it was struggling, and I felt so bad for it because I thought that's going to be a heat stroke. I've seen owners walking their dogs on hot pavement when I'm on my bare feet and it's too hot for me to walk on the hot pavement. So it is really important to be very mindful of our pets during these hot times, because if we want to go out in 3 layers of thermal underwear and a wool coat and a hat and a scarf and bare feet on that hot pavement, that's what they're doing. So we need to remember they can't sweat like us. They don't cool like us. They cool through panting and the evaporative cooling through the respiratory system. So they can't sweat and cool like us. So they get overheated so quickly. And dogs that are more at risk of complications are very old, very young, overweight, short-faced breeds like pugs. The shorter faced breed dogs can't cool as effectively. And if your dog is very dark coated, they will overheat very quickly. So being very mindful of the time of day that you're walking your pet, because of the heat from the sun and a hot pavement, they will burn their little feet. So making choices of walking your pet in the early morning hours or the late evening is when to do it, and avoiding exercise during the hot times of day.
I saw on that graphic that we had up that you have 90 minutes to give your dog some kind of treatment if they're having heat stroke. What kind of treatment are we talking about?
Right. So studies have shown that if you get your pet medical treatment within 90 minutes of recognizing the signs of heat stroke, they have a much better chance of survival than those that get treated longer. What you want to do if you're concerned that your pet has suffered heat stroke, you want to douse them with cool water, not cold, and seek veterinary care immediately. You don't want to do icy cold water. You don't want to do too much at home. Just give them a little cool rinse down with your hose and get to a veterinarian. That's going to give you the most successful outcome.
All right, so there's a lot of people who love to take their dog with them everywhere they go, even when they run errands and this, that, and the other. When is it too dangerous for a pet to be left in the car?
Anytime it's 75 degrees or hotter, if it's 70, 75 degrees and your car's in the hot sun, it's too hot. It can take when outside temperatures are 80 to 100 degrees, cars parked in direct sunlight can reach internal temperatures of 130 degrees. 130 degrees. On an 85-degree day, the temperature inside the car will be up to 100 degrees within 10 minutes and 120 degrees within 30 minutes. It's just, on days like this, it's better to leave your dogs at home. I actually made that choice today with my dog Josie. I was running an errand and I thought, oh, I could take Josie. I'm not going to leave the car. But then I thought, what if I break down? What if, she just gets so excited I can't cool the car down fast enough? So I just chose to leave her at home because it just wasn't worth the risk.
So, you kind of think that your dog knows when they're too hot, but like my chocolate lab likes to go outside and lay out in the sun.
Yeah. Sometimes we just have to treat them as toddlers. We know ultimately what's better for them. And even though it feels good to them, they might not realize it's not okay until it's too late. So we have to set boundaries and limitations and let them have a good time within those boundaries and limitations, and to keep them safe. Because, we know what's best, and they really have the self-control of basically a toddler.
Keep that in mind. Yes, the dogs rule the house. All right, this person's asking, is sunscreen necessary for dogs?
Oh yeah, we talked about that last time. Dogs can get sunburned, especially white dogs, thin-coated dogs, hairless dogs. They can definitely get sunburned just like us. So I say just keep them in the shade. Clothing, I think, is better than sunscreen ultimately because it provides a physical barrier, but you can't cover everything. You know, they have their ears and their nose and all the little face parts that are exposed and their little feet. So I say it's just better to keep them out of the peak times of sun, keep them in the shade, and keep them safe that way. But their skin needs to be protected just like ours, and they can get skin cancers too. So we want to make sure to treat them as we would treat our babies. Like, think of it that way. Treat a pet like you would treat your baby. We don't take our babies out onto the beach and leave them in the sun, you know, with us. So treat them like a baby.
All right, and I had no idea that dogs could get skin cancer.
Various types, yeah. They can definitely get skin cancers.
Okay, and that's something that's why we go to the vet at least once a year for them to check everything out. All right. We are going to talk about, let's see, we've got a whole bunch of different questions here, everything from sensitivity to food and lakes and algae. So we're going to tackle those things when we come back in the next segment. Make sure that you get your question answered, 336-379-5775.